Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. We call this press briefing to speak about an issue of concern again that has arisen on behalf of the President of the Tonse Alliance, Honorable Brian Munduwire. Now, lately, the country has witnessed ugly scenes in which the Tonse Alliance President, Honorable Brian Munduwire, has been subjected to treatment which is both stressful and unfortunate at the hands of the law enforcement agencies. The known genesis of these misfortunes was a declaration by the Minister of Information, Honorable Mwetwa, who expressed his displeasure at the lack of action by the law enforcement agencies against Honorable Munduwire, even after, according to Mr. Mwetwa, Honorable Kambwili had made statements incriminating Honorable Munduwire. Immediately after Mr. Mwetwa's screams, which included instructions to the police to take action against Honorable Munduwire, he was prevented from traveling out of the country by a combined action of the Office of the President and the police. He was subjected to provocative interrogations that borders on unsubstantiated claims and allegations of terrorism and treason. In these interrogations, various names of important people who have had no dealings with Honorable Munduwire were suggested to him as his collaborators. He was then deposited in custody in a manner that violated both the law and due process intended on the law. The police then released him after preferring some spurious charges of aiding and abetting the commission of a crime. Within the course of the week, after it was established that Honorable Munduwire would be traveling around the country to canvass amongst Tonse Alliance members and citizens of the country, he was again summoned to the Anti-Corruption Commission to answer yet another set of spurious charges on matters that had already been previously investigated and cleared. When the law enforcement agencies saw the growing concerns about the treatment of Honorable Munduwire, as evidenced by the number of citizens who elected to march to the Anti-Corruption Commission headquarters to offer him solidarity, the Anti-Corruption Commission released him without charging. Towards the Easter weekend, the Tonse Alliance campaign team lined up a number of important programs for Honorable Brian Munduwire to engage with stakeholders in Lusaka, Eastern and the Copperbelt province. Unfortunately, the team received credible information of a plot to have President Munduwire arrested on site in an abduction style based on yet another complaint filed against him by some UPND officials. As a precautionary measure, the team elected to cancel the planned engagements and advised President Munduwire to stay away from public appearances, including celebrating Easter, and only attend to routine administrative assignments. Even in the light of this precautionary measure, President Munduwire was almost abducted from a residence within the vicinity of his home when plainclothes officers attempted to block his motor vehicle and to forcibly remove him and throw him into a silver-colored Subaru, which they were driving. President Munduwire was only saved by the bravery and vigilance of his driver and his personal security detail who were providing security for him. We, as a BM8 project, the Tonse Alliance and FDD leadership, are now deeply concerned and disturbed with the manner in which the UPND is treating the opposition leader in the run-up to the important presidential and general elections slated for August 2026. Even when we are aware that we have a broken down constitutional order and a systemic yet deliberate collapse of the rule of law and the human rights profile in the country, we want to demand that President Munduwire should be accorded space and opportunity to freely engage citizens as the country prepares for the important elections of 2026. This is a demand that our constitutional democracy places on all citizens, especially those who possess the mandate to govern the country through the popular vote. If, again, those who hold political power in the country would wish to prefer any other criminal charges against President Munduwire, we demand that such process must be undertaken in strict accordance with the law, while ensuring that President Munduwire is handled in accordance with due process of the law. The idea of wishing to have him arrested abduction style, as happened to other citizens, and with the intent of handling his investigation and interrogation away from the prying eyes of the supporters in the public, is highly undesirable and may just lead to unbridled chaos, which itself is unnecessary in the months running up to these crucial elections. President Munduwire has a team of lawyers whose details have already been furnished to the law enforcement agencies. These lawyers have been adequately instructed by their client and they are in a position to receive the police call out or indeed any other form of summons that the legal enforcement agencies would demand the presence of President Mundubile to answer any charges that they may be planning against him. For the notification of the public, President Mundubile has now instructed his lawyers to write a letter addressed to the law enforcement agencies to document his grievances and his outrage out of these misfortunes, and which he suffered over the weekend, and to demand any other action that the law enforcement agencies would wish to take against him must now be done in full compliance of the law and in keeping with due process of the law. Thank you very much.
Zikomo kwa mbili.
Twarumba.
Balonda besali.
Twarumba. Kamba nani wa kati ya watu wa faili wa complaint. Oba wali.